Hey everyone, it's Nexus here. I decided to do a little video blog thing, mostly because I'm bored, and also to try out the new iPad Mini I got. The camera's off to the side here, so I'm kind of in a dramatic Dutch angle here. So let's get busy. So I work in retail, automotive retail actually, and I'm walking through my house here. Whoa, darkness! And I've noticed that a lot of people, well, let's be honest, we're really bad at shopping as a people, which is kind of disconcerting since one of the key fundamental facts of any culture is economic exchange. And if we're becoming bad at buying and selling things, that doesn't bode well for our efficiency as a culture, let's be honest. And I've seen probably the worst of it working at automotive stores, because I've worked at other types of stores before that. So we're really bad at this. The biggest problem I've seen is that people don't know what they have. We get this all the time where a person comes in and they don't know what type of car they drive, and that may seem surprising to some of you, but it's actually quite common, and it kind of is terrifying to me, because how do you not know what you get into every day? I mean, most cars have their names written in big letters right across the back of your car. I mean, you've got to see it every time you walk up to it at a parking lot in a shopping mall. And then I realize, are people even going to shopping malls anymore? Because we do everything online now. I mean, you're watching this online, and people shop online. Do we even remember the right way to shop in a store? I mean, we've become such a digitized culture that we really don't understand interpersonal relationships anymore, and what is needed by a sales representative to help you. I mean, people get upset with us when we ask them, what car do you drive? As if we're supposed to psychically know. And sometimes the answers we get are actually kind of funny. It's like you ask, well, what car do you drive? And they look out and they go, that one way out there. There's like 8 cars in the parking lot, and we're inside the store, and I can't really see. Or they'll remember like what brand of car it is, but they'll just think that we know. You know, it's like, oh, it's a Chevy. Chevy makes like 20 different brand models of car a year. I mean, that'd be like saying, going into your vet and your vet saying, well, what do you need help with? It's like, well, I need help with my pet. So, what type of pet do you have? A dog? A mammal? It's a mammal. I've got a mammal. You know, the mammal pet. Really? I mean, you can't take the time to learn that couple of things. And I mean, let's be honest, people. We're all guilty of it. I mean, do you know what's inside your computer? Unless you built it from scratch, probably not. I mean, you probably knew it when you bought it. I mean, you bought it because this is what I want, this is what I need. But do you remember? I mean, how many of you have bought, food and don't know what's in it? How many of you know the last time, how many of you know how much food you're supposed to put in your refrigerator? Because there is a maximum amount. It can't cool any amount of stuff to a cold temperature. The more stuff you put in your refrigerator, the less efficient it is. There is a maximum volume it can cool. Do you know what that is? Probably not. Do you know what size your house is? Do you know when your house was... We don't know these things. These are pieces of information that a culture's economy expects us to know, and we don't know them because we expect somebody else to know them. We expect the person that we are buying something from to be able to just know strictly based upon some sort of psychic ability or in supernatural ability to just know what you need. And I mean, that really says to me that we've kind of lost touch with the idea of that economy and economics and trade is a two-way street. I mean, there are two people involved in this. You and the person giving you the item. And I think that's a really bad thing. Because that means that we aren't prepared as a society to really trade. And if we aren't prepared to trade stuff, we certainly are prepared to trade ideas. If we expect the other person to know all of the details just off of their own cognizance, off of the top of their head, then is it any surprise that the internet is a cesspool of arguments and trolls and all that sort of things? No, it's not. I mean, we spend all day arguing about things that really, if you really stop and think about it, both people in the argument actually know what the other person is saying. They just don't want to listen to it. It's that sort of thing. Now, if I continue this, I'm going to start telling you stories about terrible things I've seen in retail. But I'm going to give you one to start off with, which is probably one of the best ones I've ever seen. And this is not a problem of the customer in this case. It's a problem of poor training. And this was back when I worked at Fry's Electronics. I worked as the cage supervisor. If any of you work at Fry's Electronics, you know what that is. If you don't, the tiny little things that are worth hundreds of dollars are kept inside a cage so that shoplifters can't grab them off of the shelf and walk off with them. Because, let's be honest, a computer CPU is, postage stamp sized, and you could stick it in your pocket and it's paper thin and you'd never know. You could just walk out with it. So they put people in the cage. And one of the things that was stored there was memory cards for cameras and also computer RAM. At the time I worked there, it was so long ago that SD RAM was still a thing. And if you don't know what SD RAM is, it was an old format of RAM that predates DDR Type 1, which predated DDR2 and now DDR3. And I don't know if we're at DDR4 yet. It will come, if it has not yet already. So Fry's was divided into departments. There was the components department, which was, of course, the department I worked in that did the RAM and all of that. And there was audio, video. There was computer and appliances and video. So the people on the computer and the components part really didn't have a problem with this. But people in audio, video would get people who were buying digital cameras, which were really kind of new at the time, especially the ones with removable memory cards. And, whoa, I can see my iPad in my glasses. Let's change that. Let's change that, shall we? Alright, so they would come in and they would get a customer in audio video who wanted to buy a new digital camera. Fair enough. The salesman would talk to the guy and he would say, okay, well, what do you need, what type of camera are you looking for? All of the basic things you would expect an electronics store salesman to do. And then he would say, well, let me get you a memory card, because at the time the cameras didn't come with memory cards automatically. You had to buy them separately. I think a lot of cameras now come at least with a small memory card, and you can upgrade later nowadays. But at the time back then, you had to get one separate. So they would go onto their computer system, the point-of-sale system, and they would look up SD memory cards, because most of the cameras used secure digital memory card. The only problem was that they used a word search, not a menu drop-down search. So they would type out SD. And the first thing that came up was SD RAM, which is odd because that's reverse alphabetical order from SD memory. So I don't really know why it came up that way, but that's what happened. I did check when I worked there to see what was going on. So the salesman would punch in on the card system that this customer was going to come up to the counter for an SD memory, which was SD RAM. So they would get to the counter, and the customer would then explode at the cashier, and I saw it because the cage was right behind the cashier lines. Exploded at the cashier, claiming the cashier was trying to steal from them or pull a fast one over them, because obviously these RAM sticks were longer than the cameras were wide in many cases, so clearly it did not fit in the camera. And then I would get in trouble because the cash register would come to me and say, "Well, what's going on?" They would tell me, this guy's here with a camera, and I go, "Oh, well, they don't actually need SD RAM; they need an SD memory card," and we'd swap it out. The problem was that Fry's salesmen are paid on commission, and if you
change the ticket at the register, the ticket then goes in the cash register operator's name, not in the salesman's name. So the salesman loses the commission on the whole sale. I mean, this person could have been in there buying $1,000 $3,000 television, a washer and dryer, all the appliances go in a brand new home, bought this camera, got in the wrong memory, and then nixed $400 of commission for a sales guy. I mean, that was something that could happen. And so the sales guys would call me and go, "What the fuck, man? You took my commission. You don't even get commission. You're a bastard." I'm like, dude, learn your stuff, And so it doesn't just go. It's not just the customers that don't always know their stuff. I will be honest there. So next week, I will tell you the most common problem customers have at an auto parts store.